The silence in the Yamaha garage at the end of the 2025 season was deafening. For decades, the Iwata factory had been the last holdout, the final guardian of the screaming inline-four engine philosophy. While Ducati, KTM, and Aprilia embraced the brutal torque of the V4, Yamaha stayed loyal to the M1's legendary corner speed. But loyalty doesn't win championships in the modern era. 125 race wins and 8 world titles were etched into that engine's history, but by the time the paddock reached Valencia, it was clear that the M1 had become a relic. It was a knife in a gunfight. The V4 project was no longer a rumor discussed in hushed tones behind hospitality suites. It was a desperate multi-million-dollar gamble for survival. Many critics claimed Yamaha was too late, that the gap to the European giants was now insurmountable. But the engineers in Iwata had been working in a secret, high-security bunker, on a machine that would destroy everything they thought they knew about motorcycle racing. Pressure wasn't just on the mechanics, it was on the management. Lynn Jarvis and the newly recruited technical mastermind Massimo Bartolini knew that building a powerhouse engine was only half the battle. They needed a pilot who could tame a beast that didn't yet exist. They needed someone who didn't just ride a bike but forced it to submit to his will. The whispers began to circulate through the paddock. Yamaha was moving away from their gentle DNA and towards something far more aggressive. The Inline-Four was dead and its successor was about to be unleashed. But the world was still skeptical. Can a Japanese giant, steeped in tradition, truly mimic the explosive power of a European V4? As the first prototypes were crated up for testing, the atmosphere was thick with the scent of a turning point. Yamaha had a secret weapon that wasn't made of metal or carbon fiber. It was a rider who had spent his entire career proving that physics was merely a suggestion. The image of Toprak Razgatlıoğlu back in Yamaha blue sent a shockwave through the 2026 paddock. This wasn't the same rider who had left for BMW years prior. This was El Turco returning as a conqueror. After dominating World SBK and proving he could win on any machinery, Toprak didn't just enter MotoGP, he invaded it. He bypassed the factory seat for a strategic placement at Pramac Yamaha. It was a move that baffled some but made perfect sense to those who understood the game. This was breathing room. Here, Toprak could be the sun around which the entire technical project orbited. He wasn't there to follow a lead rider's development, he was there to dictate the future. Toprak's riding style is a violent masterpiece of late braking and stoppies that shouldn't be possible on a 300-horsepower prototype. The old Inline-Four M1, with its delicate chassis and focus on mid-corner flow, would have likely broken him. It lacked the punch he needed to exploit his signature entry style. But the new V4 was a different animal entirely. It was built from the ground up to match his DNA, a stop-and-go monster designed to dive deep into a corner, rotate instantly, and explode toward the next apex. In the early test sessions at Jerez, the Turkish Lion looked more comfortable than any rider has a right to be on a brand new engine configuration. He wasn't just testing the bike, he was showing it who was in charge. The Jerez test served as a staggering warning to the rest of the grid. But one track remained, Le Mans. The Bugatti circuit with its technical chicanes and stop-start nature was the ultimate litmus test. If Toprak could master the V4 there, he wouldn't just be a competitor. He would be a declaration of war. Le Mans is a place where balance goes to die. The Bugatti configuration is notorious for being a bike breaker, a relentless series of hard braking zones followed by short, violent bursts of acceleration. It's a circuit that demands a front end you can trust with your life. As the morning fog lifted for the 2026 French MotoGP test session, all eyes were on the Pramac garage. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu didn't waste time. From his very first flying lap, the stopwatch told a story that left the paddock in a state of stunned silence. He wasn't just fast, he was disturbingly consistent. While others were fighting the bike's tendency to wheelie out of the final turn, Toprak's Yamaha looked like it was on rails. The atmosphere in the pit lane shifted almost instantly. In the Ducati and KTM garages, the usual hubbub of data analysis stopped. Mechanics and crew chiefs stood frozen, staring at the live monitors as the 54 bike lit up every sector in purple. There's a specific kind of tension that fills a paddock when a dominant force realizes their lead has evaporated. The Yamaha deficit was vanishing in real time. Observers noted that Toprak was simulating overtakes on other riders even during free practice. A psychological move designed to show the grid that he already felt comfortable putting the V4 into a real battle. Rival teams began to scramble. If a satellite-run Yamaha could produce these numbers on a technical track like Le Mans, the hierarchy of the 2026 season was in total turmoil. But it wasn't just the lap times that were terrifying. The telemetry showed something no one expected. For the first time in a decade, a Yamaha was no longer a sitting duck on the straights. He's not fighting the bike anymore. Those were the words of a veteran mechanic as Toprak pulled into the garage after a record-breaking stint. The core of Yamaha's breakthrough lay in the V4's power delivery. Historically, V4 engines are known for being peaky, providing a massive surge of power that can be difficult to manage, often leading to rear-wheel spin and instability. But Yamaha's technical team, led by Bartolini, had achieved the impossible. They had found the golden ratio between raw horsepower and linear throttle response. For Toprak, this meant he could open the throttle sooner and deeper than his rivals, without the bike biting back. Inside the garage, the tension was high but focused. This was a clash of cultures, Japanese precision meeting European engineering aggression. The internal friction at Yamaha had been legendary during the transition, with many old-guard engineers hesitant to abandon the Inline-Four smoothness. But seeing Toprak utilize the V4's new lively character silenced the doubters. Sector data confirmed that the bike was finding massive gains in the short acceleration zones exiting slow corners, previously Yamaha's greatest weakness. The M1 was finally working with the rider, not against him. Toprak's post-session interview was brief but heavy with meaning. He spoke of a bike that finally felt like an extension of his own body. But as the sun began to set over the historic French track and the temperature dropped, a new problem emerged in the data. It was a hidden variable that threatened to turn this triumph into a disaster on race day. The modern era of MotoGP, speed is a commodity, but tire management is a currency. Many bikes can set a blistering single lap, only to see their performance collapse after 10 laps as the rear tire is chewed to pieces by the engine's torque. As the afternoon session at Le Mans heated up, the paddock waited for the Yamaha V4 to falter. They expected the tire degradation to hit like a wall. Instead, Toprak Razgatlıoğlu performed a feat that defied the laws of the Michelin rubbers. He completed a 27-lap race simulation, and the time gap between his first and last lap was almost non-existent. This was the unnatural ability of the Turkish Lion. By combining his extreme late braking, which puts massive load on the front, with the V4's new efficient power output, he was essentially saving the rear tire for the moments it mattered most. The new engine mapping reduced excessive spinning, preventing the heat buildup that usually kills performance in the final stages of a Grand Prix. The realization hit the rival garages like a physical blow. Toprak wasn't just fast for a lap, he was going to be fast for the entire race. The psychological weight of this discovery cannot be overstated. In a season where Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia and Marco Bezzecchi expected to fight amongst themselves, a third player had entered the game with a technical advantage no one saw coming. If the bike could stay this stable under the heat of a 30-lap battle, the 2026 championship favorite had just changed in a single afternoon. The message has been sent, the grid has been warned. As the teams pack up their crates for the official French GP weekend, the 2026 season has been irrevocably altered. This test wasn't just a collection of data points, it was a game-changer for the perception of the sport. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu and Yamaha are no longer developing for the future. They are here to fight for the throne right now. The Turkish Lion has proven that his transition to the premier class wasn't a gamble. It was a calculated takeover. This isn't just about winning a single race at Le Mans. This is about the resurrection of a titan. Yamaha's V4 project, once mocked as a too little, too late effort, is now the most feared package in the pit lane. The ghost of the Inline-Four has been laid to rest, replaced by a machine that finally matches the raw, unbridled ambition of its rider. The pressure has now shifted squarely onto the shoulders of the reigning champions. They can no longer rely on a horsepower advantage to save them. The 2026 French GP could be the beginning of a story we tell for decades. The moment the Turkish Lion was given a machine that set him free. As the lights go out on Sunday at Le Mans, the answer to the biggest question in motorsports will finally be revealed. The era of the Yamaha V4 has begun, and the hunt is on.